Hello everyone. Before starting the lesson, try the warm-up. Determine the x-intercepts of the function by factoring. Here's the function. Factor it to find the x-intercepts. Pause the video and try it. So when you factor this, you end up with -2 times 2x minus 3 times x plus 2. Remember, if you're trying to find the x-intercepts, you're trying to find the points where the function is equal to 0. So now you can actually solve this equation using that zero product property. So either 2x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0, in which case x is either 3 over 2 or -2. So this was just a reminder on how to solve an equation by factoring. Now, most of our work so far in this unit has involved being given an equation, but this time we're going to be determining a quadratic equation given its roots. So we're going to determine an equation to represent a function when its roots are known. Now, the roots of a function are represented by the x-intercepts, or the zeros, on its graph. So it's just a terminology thing. When I say x-intercepts or zeros, I'm talking about coordinates of the x-intercepts on a graph. When I say roots, I'm talking about the solutions to the equation. So technically, there's a difference, but the difference is just on the context of what you're talking about, whether you're talking about the equation or whether you're talking about the graph. But the basic idea is the same. The roots are the answers to the equation when y, your y variable, is equal to 0. That's your x-intercepts. So if you know what the roots of the equation are, or if you know what the x-intercepts of the function are on the graph, then you can actually work backwards and find the equation. Now, this function is actually the same one from the warm-up, so we already factored it, and we solved the equation, and we got -2 or 3 over 2 as the possible answers for x. These are the roots of the equation. Now we can see that it's the same thing on the graph. The x-intercepts are -2, and 3 over 2 is 1.5. So the roots of the equation are the same as the x-intercepts of the function on the graph. So let's look at an example. The roots of a quadratic function are -3 and 1. It also passes through the point 3, 36. Write the equation in factored form. Well, I know factored form is written like this: a times x minus r times x minus s, where r and s are the roots, which I know are -3 and 1. So I'm going to put -3 and 1 in the r and s positions. Notice that it says x minus r. So if r is -3, it's x minus -3, which ends up being +3. The double minus becomes a plus. If s is 1, x minus s is x minus 1. So I leave that with a minus sign. So this is the beginnings of my equation for my quadratic function. Because I know the roots, I can plug them in for r and s, but I still don't know what my a value is. If I want to solve for a, I need to know what x and y are. Well, that's where this other point comes into play. Remember, coordinates are written in the order x, then y. So when x is 3, y is 36 on this function. So where I see an x, I can replace it with a 3, and where I see a y, I can replace it with 36. And once I do that, this is now my equation. The only thing I don't know is a, which is good because now I can actually solve for a. I'll simplify inside the brackets first. Now I can multiply these. 6 times 2 is 12, so a times 12 is 12a. Now to solve for a, I have to divide by 12. And 36 divided by 12 is 3. So now I know what a is. I can go back to my original equation, and I can put 3 here, and then I'll have my full equation for my quadratic function. So the equation is y equals 3 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. I now have an equation for my quadratic function based on what the roots were. I knew what the roots were, so I put them in for r and s, and then I used another point on the function, substituted my values for x and y, and then I solved for a. Once I know what a is, I can write the full function. In this next example, it's the same as before, except with two differences. The first one is, it says it has a double root at -2. A double root just means that there's one x-intercept if you were to graph this. In other words, the vertex is also an x-intercept. There's only one point on the x-axis. So if you have a double root at -2, that means both roots are -2. So that's one thing that's different from the last question. The other thing is that we want to write the equation in standard form. So you're going to have to expand and simplify at the end to get to standard form. But I'd like you to pause the video and try the rest of this on your own. So if you follow the same method as before, we take this other point on the function and we replace x and y with -1 and 16. -1 for x, 16 for y. Then we solve for a. We get a is 16. This would make our equation y equals 16 times x plus 2 squared. I got x plus 2 squared because it was x plus 2 times itself. So really I'm just squaring it. But the question asked for standard form. So I have to expand and simplify. And when I do that, I end up with y equals 16x squared plus 64x plus 64. I did the same thing as I did in the previous example. I started with the roots. I plugged in values for x and y using another point on the function, and I solved for a. Once I knew what a was, I had an equation. Now, because I want standard form, I have to expand and simplify. We're going to switch gears to a word problem now. A golf ball is hit in the air and travels a horizontal distance of 150 meters before it lands. At a distance of 120 meters, it is still 12 meters above the ground. Write an equation to model the height of the ball as a function of its distance. It's often helpful to start with a sketch of what the graph looks like. If we read this question, it's apparent that we are graphing not just the horizontal distance that a ball is traveling, but also its height, 12 meters above the ground. This is height above the ground. And we want an equation to model the height of the ball as a function of its distance. So we've got distance, height as a function of distance. Well, let's read through and find some points. It travels a horizontal distance of 150 meters before it lands. So at 150 meters distance, its height is 0. We're going to assume that it's going to start on the ground, a height of 0, when it's 0 meters away from where it was hit. The ball's going to go up, it's going to come back down. 150 meters away, it's going to be 0 meters above the ground again, on the ground. At a distance of 120 meters, here, it is still 12 meters above the ground. That's the height at 120 meters away. So you can see I have a rough sketch of what this looks like so that I can write an equation to model the height as a function of its distance. Now, here I have the roots and another point. You can use that to make an equation just like we did in the previous two examples. So why don't you pause the video and try to find the equation of this function on your own. Well, I know what the roots are, 0 and 150. I know another point on the function, d is 120, h is 12, so I've replaced my d and h values. And then we solve for a. We get a is -1/300. So if I look back to my equation, I can replace my a value with -1/300, and I get this. Now, I don't like the notation here, d minus 0. I don't really need that. Also, h of what? Height as a function of distance. So I can use function notation. Instead of writing h equals, it's h of d. Height as a function of distance is equal to this. D minus 0 is just d. So I don't even have to write the brackets with the minus 0 there. This is a nice looking equation to model the height of this golf ball as a function of its distance away from where it was hit. Now let's keep going along this thread here of the golf ball. This is the equation that we came up with in the previous example. Let's keep going with that. Now let's determine the maximum height the ball will reach. Again, it's often helpful if we draw a sketch. We know that our roots are 0 and 150. The ball's going to go up and then back down. The maximum height occurs at the vertex of the curve. Well, how do we figure out where the vertex is? Well, it's on the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is halfway between 0 and 150. So if you can figure out where the axis of symmetry is, then you can use that d value to calculate the height. You can calculate height when you know the distance using this equation. So pause the video and see if you can find the axis of symmetry and then use that axis of symmetry to determine the height at the vertex. First off, the axis of symmetry, it's halfway between 0 and 150, which means d is 75 at the axis of symmetry. When it's gone 75 meters away, how high is it? Well, that's where this equation comes in. We want to find the height when the distance is 75 meters. So we replace d with 75. Now we can just do the calculation. So when I plug that in and I do the calculation, I end up with 18.75 meters as the maximum height. Because this was dealing with meters, I went to decimals because meters usually are measured with decimals, not fractions. So with a practical example, you want to get to a practical answer. If you're up for the challenge, you can try this challenge problem. A parabolic bridge is 40 meters wide. So here's the bridge. It's 40 meters from one side to the other. Determine the height of the bridge 12 meters in from the outside edge. If the height 5 meters in from the outside edge is 8 meters. So just so you understand, determine the height of the bridge 12 meters in from the outside edge. Okay, so here's the edge. 12 meters in, what's the height? I'm telling you that 5 meters in from the outside edge, so only 5 meters away, that height is 8 meters. So if you're up for this challenge, you can pause the video and try it. If you need a little help getting started, here's a little sketch. The bridge is 40 meters wide. 5 meters in, it's 8 meters high. 12 meters in, how high is it? We don't know. So we can start with the roots, 0 and 40. We know another point. When x is 5, y is 8, or in this case, d and h. Solve for a, we get negative 8 over 175. So we have this equation. Now I want to know the height of the bridge 12 meters from the outside edge. So the distance is 12. We're trying to find the height when the distance is 12. We get 15.36 meters. So the bridge is 15.36 meters high, 12 meters from the edge. So the gist of what we're doing is we're determining an equation when we're given the roots. If you know the roots, you know the x-intercepts. So you can start with the factored form, work backwards to solve for that a value, and then you have your equation. If you need to put it into standard form, you can expand and simplify. And if you need to find the vertex, you can find the axis of symmetry first. If you have trouble with any of the practice questions, reach out for help.